Since 1992, the Association for Distance Education and Independent Learning, formerly the American Association for Collegiate Independent Study, has been providing professional development and community for people engaged in or interested in distance learning. I recently had the opportunity to meet with Kristyn Rose. Kristyn has provided years of dedicated service and leadership to ADEIL. She shared with me insights into the history of ADEIL, along with some of her favorite ADEIL memories.
What an honor it is to chat with Kristyn, a longtime member and leader of ADEIL. Kristyn, thank you so very much for joining us today and being able to share some of our organization's history.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So one thing that I love just knowing about people who are new to ADEIL is asking them how they became involved. You are not new to ADEIL, but I'd still love just to hear how did you become involved with this organization?
In 2003, I was that'll be 20 years next year.
Yeah.
In 2003, I was in the middle of my master's program with a specialty in distance ed, and I'd gone to work for Texas Tech's division of I think at that time I think it was Division of Outreach and Distance Ed, as what would now be known as an instructional designer. At the time, we were called curriculum editors. And the ADEIL conference was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I was new. I was like, I won't be going. And two of my colleagues, though, were doing a session on the importance of having a style sheet. So my boss said, "Hey, will you go and just kind of, keep things going? Kind of be another voice, And I was like, okay. So that was my very, very first conference to ever go to.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we went to South Dakota. And it was fantastic. And the funny thing is, I had been told, I was like, yeah, you better know your stuff, because these people won't let you get away with anything. These are the professionals. You are in the big time here. You do not, you dot your I's, you cross your T's before you walk in that room. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
It was not like that at all.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that at all. So I just made a point of presenting every year after that. I think there's a couple of years that I may not have presented, but I think those were years where I was actually like running the conference.
Mm-hmm.
So presenting may not have been the most practical thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I could relate to that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So no, that's what do you say? You're told, oh, these people, you got to, dot your I's and cross your T's, and it wasn't like that. What was it like?
It was very friendly. It was very friendly. It was very collegial.
Yeah.
Very, yes, we want to, hear what I had people come up to me conferences 3-4 years later saying, I'm still using what you gave me in that session.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. It was really, that was the first time I discovered that, yes, I could talk shop 24 hours a day, because we did. We just, you met people from large universities, small programs, K through 12, every position, you could find. You just got to hear what people in all these shops that were both the same and very different from yours, so that you could learn, hey, maybe we could be doing this, or maybe this could be a goal for us, or wow, don't we wish we could do that? And it was really quite an experience. It's really quite an experience. Yeah. And you learn a lot about people in a cornflower maze. Cornflower? No. What is that? The cornfield maze.
Yeah, cornfield maze.
Yeah, there we go. Brain didn't work for a minute. But you learn a lot about people in a cornfield maze at night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good team building. Good get to
that's
know you.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And Kristyn, that reminds me so much of my first ADEIL conference in 2018. I was some guy who taught a couple of online courses. I
Okay.
was, by no means like any sort of big deal in this field. And I gave some presentations, and people were just welcoming and friendly. Like, this is great to hear from you. I'm just
Yes.
happy to hear that that's an experience that has gone through the decades. And what 2003, you said that was your first conference. Was that during the AACIS or the ACES days?
Yes. A deal was
Okay.
not a deal then. It was
Yes.
ASIS back then. Yeah. Yeah. The name change happened, I believe, in 2010,
Okay.
but which was something else. That was, I think, the first year that Colorado Mesa University, where I was, hosted. I recently came across uh, our tote bags from that first conference,
Yeah.
and the logo. I will have to take a picture and send it to you.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, because the logo was designed by my 16-year-old daughter. It was. We were in such a crunch.
Uh-huh.
And luckily, she was a very talented artist. So
Uh-huh.
it worked out.
It worked out.
But, you do what you got to do. But it was that hosting the conference was so wonderful to welcome everybody into that space in Grand Junction, Colorado. I have really great memories of sitting on Main Street in Grand Junction with the ADEIL people, and having one in particular look around and go, "I just love it here. I just love it," and just and just people having such a nice time and enjoying the conference and the networking and all of that.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's hard work.
Yes.
As you know, it is hard work.
Uh-huh.
But when you have everybody there,
Yeah.
and it's coming together,
Mm-hmm.
and the discussions are happening, and the presentations are going, and those creative juices are going, and people are learning and growing, and you can see it all happening under your nose, and it's fantastic.
No, it's humbling to be a part of. Just those meetings of minds and just those connections you make, and just and what I think my favorite part is seeing other people connect with other people who didn't know each other prior, that you might have had a connection, and
That's right.
and then you get to see like, well, I got to be a part of making those connections happen. It's humbling.
Well, and here I am almost 20 years later, and I'm still in touch with those people. I remember seeing Ken Lightfoot at Thomas Edison State's first, his presentation in South Dakota. I remember seeing that, and I still am in touch with him. Evan Smith, who is now retired and who was one of the founding members of ACES/ADEIL. I'm still in touch. I remember the moment that I met Evan, standing in front of William Faulkner's house in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I heard this little voice behind me go, "Are you the one who likes Irish music?" And that was my introduction to Evan.
We'll hear more about that Irish music in just a moment. During our conversation, we had a chance to talk more about ADEIL's history. In 2010, ACES, the American Association for Collegiate Independent Study, became ADEIL, the Association for Distance Education and Independent Learning. However, this was a turbulent time. In the fallout of the financial crisis of 2008, many ADEIL members saw their travel budgets disappear. ADEIL conferences went from hosting over 100 attendees to a couple dozen. Kristyn steered ADEIL through these times while creating lasting memories and experiences.
What's one of your favorite memories or favorite accomplishments of your during your time with ADEIL?
Favorite accomplishment would be surviving that time when the budgets were so bad.
Yeah.
And and having the conference when it was only let's see, 30 people,
Yeah.
pushing forward and making it a valuable experience for those people and not giving up.
Yeah.
That's probably what I'm really proud of,
Mm-hmm.
When I stepped back from it, I got a nice card from, I think it was Evan, that said something about "thank you for guiding this ship," and that's really what it felt like. It felt like we were just steaming ahead,
Uh-huh.
just keep going. Yeah, we saw the iceberg, we missed it, and that was probably the memories, though. Oh my, that's I have so many. There's there's Evan coming up and asking me that. There's Bill Catchings from Louisiana from LSU. So he was the moderator for the second year that I gave a presentation.
Okay.
And so I wrote up my little bio.
Mm-hmm.
And now I hadn't known Bill very long, but Bill did his homework. Okay. And Bill found a project that I had done for my master's program that I didn't know was still out there.
Whoa.
On Celtic music.
Yeah.
On Celtic folk songs. And so he's reading my bio to everybody to introduce me at my presentation. Yeah. And all of a sudden he goes, and at the end, we'll leave enough time for Kristyn to do an a cappella version of "Donald, Where's Your Trousers?" I was like, excuse me?
Uh-huh.
Where did you find that?
Uh-huh.
So, very proud of himself. And okay, this one, and this actually led to a trivia question. And at one of the virtual conferences, I think last year.
Yeah.
So Colorado, we're getting the proposals to present.
Yeah.
And I got one from Kim Livingood.
Yeah.
At San Angelo State. And shortly after, I got a Facebook friend request from Kim Livingood. And I was like, well, this is unusual.
Yeah.
Usually people don't send me a proposal and a friend request.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I went and I looked. I've known Kim since I was 12.
Whoa.
I knew her as Kim Cowan. Okay. When my family moved to Lubbock, Texas, we bought her family's house. And they moved down the street.
Oh.
So, and we'd been out of touch for a few years. I had no idea we were in the same industry.
Yeah. And
I guess she saw my name and it made the connection.
That's
so I've known Kim since I was 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
small world.
It's small world.
Here's a question. So you mentioned, giving your first ACES presentation. And then all of a sudden you're steering the ship. What was that like to transition from being like one of the newbies to like, wow, like I guess I'm driving this bus?
And that happened right after we hosted the conference in Colorado.
Yeah.
There were people who came up to me and said, "Hey, you pulled this off.
Mm-hmm.
So now we think you should be president." And I'm like, no. No. I've been on the board since 2007.
Okay.
And I was like, don't. But then that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so yeah, that was scary. That was scary. To all of a sudden be in charge and have these challenges going on.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I had the best examples I had come up through the ADEIL board with leadership who were good examples of that.
Yeah.
I'd started out working with the research committee with Deb Gerhardt.
Okay.
And working with Evan and Kathy. Why is my brain failing me now? Kathy Peel from North Dakota.
Yeah.
And working with all of these people and having those examples of this is how you do it.
Yep.
This is how this is how to put your foot down when you need to, and how to let other people do what they know how to do when you need to.
Yeah.
This is how to delegate so that you're not overwhelmed. Find the people who can help you and get them on board. So that was invaluable.
Yeah.
To have those people along, Paige Davis, and so many people who have either retired or moved on to other industries, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But again, that I'm still in contact with. So there is value in social media. There is.
Yes. There's a lot of good, not good. There's some stuff that keeps us coming back, though, and maintaining those relationships that are otherwise really difficult to maintain.
That's right. And always remembering, and ADEIL is very good at this, that human element. Remembering that we aren't just the people sitting at our desks. We're fully dimensional people, and there's a lot to know about each of us. Because even though it's a very funny anecdote about Bill Catchings and the Donald Where's Your Trousers.
Yeah.
He went to the trouble to learn more about me than was on that standard bio that I gave him.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of value in ADEIL is that realization is there, and that we appreciate each other for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember sitting in the back of a tour bus while we're driving through Amish country in Illinois, talking to Meredith Gilbert.
Okay.
About her dog that just passed away and mine that just passed away, and sitting back there and sobbing our little hearts out, sharing about our dogs, And then when I was at Colorado Mesa, they moved me to an office in the back of the library. And one day I walked in and my office was full of books. And I was like, what has happened here? Yeah. And the director of the library came in and she said, we've had a math professor who passed away, and his family donated his library. And this is it. And so until we know what we're doing with all these books, I'm sorry, but we put them in your office.
Yeah.
Then she gave me his name, and he was Meredith Gilbert's brother.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those connections just, so I had that connection with Meredith, because of our experience sitting in the back of the bus talking about our dogs.
Yeah.
And so I was able to reach out to her and say, hey, look what's in my office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, so it's that human aspect of ADEIL that I find the most endearing, and what I think helped to keep that ship going when it would have been so easy to say, okay, let's wrap this up. This is hard.
Yeah.
We shared what we saw as the strengths of ADEIL during our conversation.
I have to say, a couple of my colleagues from ODU came to that 2019 conference, and they appreciate that it's not one of these huge conferences.
Yes.
And I experienced a conference once.
Okay.
And it was like, wow, this is overwhelming. I can't find the people I came with because there's 1,500 other people in the same space.
Yeah.
And that networking, it's hard to make those connections that I found so easy to make with ADEIL.
Mm-hmm.
And they found that too. They found value in the sitting down and having those conversations with people, having people linger after their presentation. And be able to have those dialogues. And they've been asking, when can we do that again? When can we do that again? We want to have that experience again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I see two strengths of ADEIL. One, that it was a reflection of mine. One was a reflection of one of my Madison colleagues. The first is the positive energy. We are here to build each other up. We are here to welcome people. I don't care if, again, it was someone like me who's totally new to this, or it's someone who's like authored books and book after book and chapter after chapter.
Yeah.
It is welcoming and I love it. And the kind of related to that, I had a colleague use the term approachability.
That's a very good term. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps ADEIL different from others.
Mm-hmm.
ADEIL has a great variety of people and institutions represented, and a great opportunity for getting to know those people and institutions in ways that you can't in the large conferences, where you exchange business cards and move on.
Mm-hmm.
It's, for lack of a better term, a much more intimate setting. ADEIL people I'm still talking to almost 20 years later.
As our discussion concluded, I presented Kristyn with the President's Excellence Award, which recognizes ADEIL members who have gone above and beyond to make a meaningful impact on the organization.
And I know that I haven't been around for all of the 30 years history of ACES and ADEIL, but I gathered that you have done a lot. So, Kristyn, I just wanted to just give a President's Excellence Award, just acknowledging your dedicated service and leadership that's helped ACES and ADEIL reach 3 decades of approachability and community and positive energy, and acknowledge what you've done. We've had a chance to talk, a little bit about the hats that you've worn and the roles that you had. And I know that there's a lot more behind the scenes that you've done to keep this organization.
I got a lot of stories.
Yeah.
Some are not appropriate to be told on camera, but you learn a lot about people in a cornfield maze. I can say that.
I believe that.
But thank you. Thank you so much. That means the world to me. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, ADEIL has been a big part of my life, both professionally and personally.
Yeah.
So that means a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, I like that there's a phrase that I used as soon as I became president. I stand on the shoulders of giants. And you mentioned, when you took over, just kind of having those examples, for example, Evan Smith and of other people who came before, and building off of that. And Kristyn, you're one of those giants whose shoulders I stand atop on. And I just kind of hope that I can kind of pay it forward so that the next years of ADEIL leadership, do what I can to help them keep the organization thriving and growing. And
well, thank you so much. That really means a lot to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I know we're running a little out of time. Can I put you on the spot for one more story to share, one more memory to share before we wrap up?
Oh, one more.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see. There's there's the cornfield maze there.
Yeah.
Well, because they split us into groups in the cornfield maze now, and it's getting dark, right?
Oh, yeah.
But there was one guy there. He's not in Distance Ed anymore. And he has one of the best names ever, Vigo Night Bay. and who is a very
Yeah,
tall
that's
man.
a good name. Yeah.
Yeah, very
Sure.
tall man. And he brought a hat with a headlamp on it. And I'm like, there's my leader.
Yeah.
There's the guy I'm following. Give him the map. And that's what we did.
Uh-huh.
And we made it out of the cornfield maze.
Mm-hmm.
At one point I did take my camera and do kind of a Blair Witch video that I wish I could still find. But so that was great fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's just so much. I mean,
Yeah.
I have things flashing through my head. The dancing grannies, the tap dancing grannies in
Okay.
Utah. The cowboy poet in Utah. Oh gosh. Spending the afternoon in Glenwood Springs with Christy Smalley and Evan and Susan Eikamp in Colorado. And the hundreds of conversations I've had just sitting around after our sessions and shooting the breeze and talking about this and that and what was going on in the world at the time. So many things. Yeah.
Lots of good memories.
Yes.
Well, with that, our time is pretty much wrapping up. But Kristyn, thank you so very much for sharing your time. Thank you for all that you've done throughout the decades.
Yeah. That's not to be plural. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. To get a deal.
I'd do it all again.
Yeah.
I would.